most famous love stories in Pharaonic Egypt, the most beautiful of a singer and priestess. The ancient Egyptian civilization was a pioneer in establishing human values such as goodness and love, and established the Ma'at law, a symbol of right and justice based on love. The value of love has become an important place in the life of the ancient Egyptians. Before the world, at the end of the 18th century, on February 14th each year, designated a day to celebrate Valentine's Day. Pharaonic Constitution, Valentine's Day in ancient Egyptian civilization. The Pharaonic civilization made its constitution known as the Ma'at law, a symbol of justice and equality based on love. Openness to love in all its forms. The ancient Egyptian drew the features of his life, the details of which appeared on the walls of Pharaonic temples and tombs throughout the families and eras. That love originated from the land of Egypt, and the ancient Egyptian used to live in an environment full of sacred values and passion, until the myth of Isis and Osiris was woven on the basis of the love story of Wafa's wife, who was still searching for her husband. Manifestations of love. The ancient Egyptian did not lose sight of his diaries and celebrations that indicate the manifestations of love throughout the families. In the past, the Egyptians were keen to exchange gifts of flowers and roses as a kind of appreciation of loved ones for each other and a way to express their feelings. On the walls of tombs and temples, the ancient Egyptian depended on the images to record and document these moments. The celebration of Egyptians and the whole world today is very similar to the manifestations of celebration in ancient Egypt, and the gifts of flowers and roses are similar to those that were presented as an expression of love in a grand ceremonial, and they are inscriptions on the walls of temples and Giza cemeteries, and dozens of murals documenting the ancient Egyptian celebration of his beloved. Legendary stories. Stories of love and adoration in ancient Egypt were not limited to the class of kings and nobles, but also varied according to different social classes. Throughout the Pharaonic history, there are stories that are a model of loyalty and love over the centuries and times. A love story lived between King Amenhotep III and Queen T, as everyone challenged and married her, despite his decision almost threatening his throne at the time. Also, the story of King Tutankhamun's love for Queen Ankh-Asamun, despite the fact that their marriage did not last long. In addition to the love story of Queen Nefertiti and King Akhenaten, which were immortalized on the walls of temples, the construction of temples in ancient Egypt was one of the means of expressing love. King Ramesses II built one of the 19 kings of the family of Queen Nefertari, the Temple of Abu Simbel, which borders the temple in Aswan, southern Egypt, indicating that the love of Ramesses II for Nefertari has reached the point that he described it to Hathor as the idol of love and beauty. The tombs revealed other love stories of the non-kings, including the tomb of Kahai, singer of the royal court, and his wife Meret-Ites, one of the priests of the Temple of Amun. The discovery of the cemetery dates back to 1966 in Saqqara area in Giza Governorate, and dates back to about 4,400 years, pointing to a wall inscription that records the moment when the spouses stared at each other's eyes and exchanged good feelings of love. The cemetery also records a scene in which the wife places her right hand on the right shoulder of her husband as an expression of containment and affection. And the archaeologist describes the story of Kahai and Meret as the most beautiful love story in ancient history, and recorded the history of the pharaonic facts of those who died in the way of love, including a girl named Isidora, who loved an officer, but her father's objection to their marriage prompted her to go to see off her lover, but she fell into the river while on the way to it. The story of the martyr of love, Isidora, remains immortal on the walls of her tomb in the Tuna al-Jabal region in Minya Governorate, Upper Egypt.